Everybody was quiet. I don't know why I did that. Everybody was already quiet. Thanks everybody for being here for our 3 o'clock regular voting session for Cleveland City Council on Monday, August the 11th. I will call this meeting to order and ask the clerk to please call the roll.
Mayor Brooks.
Here.
Councilwoman McKenzie.
Here.
Councilman Estes. Councilman Cassada.
Here.
Councilman May.
Here.
Councilman Goff.
Here.
Vice Mayor Webb.
Here.
Councilman Moore.
Here.
Thanks, Mr. Clerk. As is our tradition, we will begin our meeting with the pledge and invocation. I'm very pleased to have invited and he accepted the new president of Lee University, Dr. Phil Cook, to give our invocation immediately following the pledge. And any other comments that you would like to have, Dr. Cook, please stand. Salute and pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. President.
Mr. Mayor, members of the City Council, thank you for this opportunity to be here with you today. I've been all over the country the past 4 years, seen a lot of great places, and I can tell you there's no place like Cleveland, and there's no place like home. I'm so pleased to be back here today. Let's pray. Heavenly Father, we thank you for the gift of this day and for the opportunity to gather in service to our city. We're grateful for Cleveland, Tennessee, the city with spirit, and my home for its people, its history, and its promise. Lord, today we lift up the members of this council and ask that you grant them wisdom, patience, and clarity as they deliberate and lead. May their decisions uphold justice, compassion, and serve the common good. Bless our neighborhoods, our schools, our businesses, and every citizen who calls this community home. Strengthen the bonds that unite us and help us to work together with humility and purpose. May this meeting be guided by your peace and shaped by your truth. And may all that is done here bring honor to you. We ask these things in the name of Jesus the Christ. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Dr. Cook. This room is filled with Lee alumni, everyone except Brandon Guyton. Graduated. Lee alumni, raise your hands just so I can look at that. What a great showing. And thanks very much, everyone. All right, the next item on the agenda, thank you, Dr. Cook, for that invocation. The next item on the agenda is to waive the reading of the minutes from our last regular session, which was July 28, 2025, and that does require a motion from the council.
Mayor, I move that the City Council of the City of Cleveland waive the reading of the minutes of the regular session of the City Council held on July 28, 2025, and approve them as written.
Second. It's a proper motion by Vice Mayor Webb. It is properly seconded by Councilman May. Any comments, questions, or corrections on those minutes? Mr. Clerk, please call the roll.
Vice Mayor Webb.
Aye.
Councilman May.
Aye.
Councilman Goff.
Aye.
Councilman Moore.
Aye.
Councilwoman McKenzie.
Aye.
Councilman Cassada.
Aye.
There's 6-0.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. That motion passes. Councilman Webb.
Yes, Mayor, I'd like to make a motion that we excuse Councilman Estes from today's meeting.
That is a proper motion by Vice Mayor Webb. Is there a second?
Second.
Properly seconded by Councilman Goff. Any other comments or questions about that motion? Mr. Clerk, please call the roll.
Vice Mayor Webb.
Aye.
Councilman Goff.
Aye.
Councilman May.
Aye.
Councilman Moore.
Aye.
Councilwoman McKenzie.
Aye.
Councilman Cassada.
Aye.
Carries 6-0.
Thanks, Mr. Clerk. That motion passes to excuse Councilman Estes. Next item on the agenda is item 5, special presentations and public comments. At the 1 o'clock meeting, we did have a special presentation complimenting the staff on the Award of Excellence from Tennessee Municipal League for the Inman Street and Johnston Park project. So congratulations to all the staff that made that award-winning project possible and under budget, I'm also reminded. We have no special presentations for 3 o'clock, but we do have the opportunity for public comments. Yes, sir, I see. If you'll approach the podium and state your name for the record.
Hey, my name's TJ Harness. Good afternoon, Mayor Brooks, council members, and staff. Like I said before, my name's TJ Harness. I've been a part of the Cleveland skateboarding community for close to 16 years. Right now, it seems like there isn't a clear plan for the skate park's future, but that means, is that this one? But that means that there's an opportunity to touch the lives of kids who are looking for the same outlet that I had growing up. Had there not been a skate park and a skateboarding community in my life, I don't know if I'd be the person that I am today. It helped me cope through my parents' divorce. It gave me an outlet during my uncertainty of switching engineering majors in college. It's even been a platform for me to share my faith with people who might never have heard it otherwise. Skateboarding gave me belonging, lifelong friendships, and lessons that I still live by today. Don't be afraid to fail. Nothing worth doing is going to be easy, and persistence is absolutely everything. And now I share that same passion with my 3-year-old son. It's part of who I am. And so when the park disappeared, it felt like a part of me was missing and memories that I might cherish with my son. And I know I'm not the only one that feels that way. I hate to see this taken away without any alternative, not even a temporary space for skaters to gather safely. This move is a chance to do more than just replace what we had. It's a chance to create something better, something lasting, that will shape the lives of the next generation of kids, just like it shaped mine. Please work with us, listen to us, and let's build a new skate park that our whole community can be proud of. Thank you for your time and considering what this means to skaters, family, and the future of Cleveland.
Thank you, Mr. Harness. We're very grateful that you took the time to come by, and I wish that you had been here at the 1 o'clock because we've got some good news for you, almost as if we knew you were coming. Mr. Fivas, do you have the ability to pull that up on the screen?
We had applied for a Blue Cross Blue Shield grant, which will go towards a splash pad, a skate park, if we do receive that grant, but I think we're gonna proceed either way, correct, Joe? Yeah. So first of the year, February, something like that, we'll know for sure, but we are moving forward with redoing the skate park. That's fantastic.
We had a great visit this morning, this afternoon. Sarah Vaughn came to speak. Is Sarah here at 3 o'clock?
I think she had to go.
But Councilwoman McKenzie asked about temporary, which was in your comments, and Mr. Fivas, our city manager, has agreed to try and locate a place that we could have a temporary, sort of a concrete pad, move the equipment until the new park is completed, because we are listening and we are hearing. In addition, at 1 o'clock, a presentation on Parks and Rec's master planning included comments about skateboarding and skating and how high up it ranked in the popularity and request for that. So we are definitely listening, and we have a temporary idea and a future plan to make it even bigger and better for the city of Cleveland, those that enjoy the skate park. Thank you for coming. Is there anyone else who would like to speak? Mr. Townsend, if you'll come forward and identify yourself for the record.
Yes, I'm Chris Townsend with Southeast Land Trust and Property Holding Group, and thank you for a couple minutes of your time. Last week I sent an email to the council and city staff communicating some difficulties that I've had in securing a developer agreement for the redevelopment of about 5 acres downtown. We've had conversations with city staff since March. We've had a meeting in March, April, May, and we've not been able to secure a developer agreement. We have significant interest in the redevelopment of our property. Along with it comes significant investment from developers. And I'm here for 2 reasons. One, to answer your questions that you may have about that email, and then also to ask for your assistance with city staff to try to move that project forward.
Mayor, I'd like the city staff to respond to that since he's asked them to not be forthgoing. So I'd give them the opportunity on the floor to present.
That's a proper request, Mr. Kessler. Thank you, Mr. Townsend. And just while Joe's coming, those that are here about the Spring Creek, Spring Brook We will have a public hearing, and you will all have the opportunity to speak for or against at that time. Mr. Fivas?
Yeah, I mean, we obviously are very interested in downtown. I think we've made a lot of good success as far as moving forward. We have had, on certain occasions, had some opportunities for developer agreements. Very minor, you know, Agora, we helped with undergrounding, a little bit of lights. The Sanda Mill, they invested about $10 or $12 million, and we helped with some of the streetscape. We certainly certainly are not opposed to having a conversation. You know, from our perspective, it's the developer that's supposed to bring the projects and come forward. There's been 2 projects that we've met with Mr. Townsend. One has said that that they're not interested in, has emailed us recently and said they're not interested in coming to Cleveland, and the other one we talked to last week, and they said they were not ready to do anything yet. So I think from a standpoint of the development agreement is you have to have developers ready to go forward and spend money before we usually engage on a development agreement, and happy to address any questions.
All right, thank you, Mr. Fivas. Anything further, Mr. Townsend?
Yes, absolutely. So in June, the developers of a hotel hospitality product came from Clearwater, Florida, met with city staff and myself, and they basically laid out what they needed from myself as the property owner and the city as the municipality, and that is a developer agreement that identifies public infrastructure improvements to the greater area. South of Inman Street is not the most appealing place to invest $40 to $50 million in a hotel without understanding a commitment from the city. So it's going to require a developer agreement for our site, in my opinion, to attract quality development. So if a developer agreement is not something that is achievable, just let me know and we'll go, you know, a different direction.
Yeah, and we have an email on August 4th, basically, or that basically has indicated that they haven't completed their due diligence process and they're not there. When they're ready to come, we're happy to have a conversation about that. I think that, you know, I think the cost, the price that you're talking about is a couple $1 million, that we're not going to do a development agreement up front before there's any development. That's what we have generally done on anything. We're not going to have something without an end user in place.
In our meeting in March and our meeting in April, our conversation with you specifically was different. We basically outlined the terms of a mutually agreeable developer agreement. And in April, March, April, and May, we were supposed to meet to put that on paper. And you elected not to do that. So we agreed, and in June, the hotel came and said, listen, here's what we need from the city. We need to know what this area is going to look like. Listen, if the city is not interested in making a commitment to downtown...
A $2 million commitment.
Well, we also didn't discuss the cost of scope of services.
Well, I mean, what you gave us was about $2 million.
Okay. All right, well, for roughly 20 years, the city has targeted downtown for redevelopment.
That's correct.
And it's been very slow to start. We now have 5.5 acres that we would like to do something really good and beneficial for the city.
When you bring in an end user, we're happy to have a conversation.
Okay. Well, I likely will not be able to attract an end user without an understanding of city participation. So I think I've got my answer. I think we just need to put it on the shelf for a little while and see if possibly the temperament of the city changes over time. So if the council has any questions for me, I'm happy to answer them.
May I
Councilman
speak
Kessler?
on that part? Chris, we're downtown. We're wanted downtown. You know, the catalyst right now is Johnson Park. We've got that. We got the Cherokee Hotel, where Roy's Alternator's gone. As soon as that thing goes up and opens up, it's gonna light fire downtown. There's gonna be a lot of people who wanna go downtown because the city has invested a lot of money in downtown and trying to make downtown. Emmett Street, David, I remember when I was first on here, you talk about Emmett Street, you want to see dirt fly.
Yeah.
And it took a while. It takes a while for the city to move. It's not like, I always tell people, if you want to change the paint color in your room, you go to Lowe's and you buy the paint and you paint it that weekend and you got a new room. And the city, the government doesn't work that way. It's tedious. They have to go through and do all kinds of researches. The state requires us to do all kinds of things, which you've been aware of on that. It just takes a lot of time. So it's not that we don't want the downtown, because we do have the Maytag property, the Whirlpool property that we've got it out there too. So there's a big master plan. We'd love to help you. I've seen your plan too, and I think it's a great concept on that part. So if you start moving some dirt and some stuff, I'm sure that the city will be more than happy to help you out on that side of it.
Any other comments from the council? Thank you, Councilman. Thank you, sir.
Thank you for your time.
That takes us, I'm sorry, is there anyone else seeking?
I want to add, I just want to make sure there's an understanding. On the developer agreement, you bring end users, and then we talk to them. What are your needs? What is the development gap? And we try to fill that gap to the best that we can. And in this, you don't have an end user. You don't know what the gap is. You don't know if it's a 4-story building or something different. I just think that, just like when we've done this in the past, they have to bring an end user, then we engage in a conversation, and I think have always figured it out in the past. I think that, we're not in the private development business, and, if the first people that own the land, if they bring an end user, and we're happy to engage and help fix a road and do something. So I think there's a very clear track record, and I think that we would happy to stand on our record.
All right. I believe you, were you going to speak? I thought I saw someone in the back. All right. Anyone else wishing to speak to this council during public comments? Seeing none, we will proceed to item number 6, which is hearing petitions and communications. Item 6A is to hear public comments concerning a request by Springbrook Community Developers, LLC, for consideration of an ordinance to amend PUD 4, located along 25th Street, to include multifamily as permitted in the town center and business park area without a commercial component on the first floor, to allow 4-story structures in the town center area and 3 stories in the business park area, and modify parking requirements. This was approved by the Planning Commission 6-0 with 1 pass and 2 absent. I'll declare this public hearing to be open. Mr. Barnell, we'll hear your staff report.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. As you may recall, this went to the Planning Commission several months back. It came to this body. You guys sent it back to the Planning Commission as there was a adjustment in the request. And based on both staff review as well as some discussions at the Planning Commission, the applicant did make a few changes to their initial request. Those changes were what were reviewed by the Planning Commission at the last meeting, and they sent their recommendation to you now. As Mr. Mayor stated, this request is fairly straightforward from the standpoint there are 2 specific spots in question. And what the applicant is asking for at that location is to remove the commercial component from the first floor of each of those 2 buildings, and then one being in the town center, which is the front part of the development, close to Jenkins and Lassiter's, and the other 3-story building. They're asking for an additional 4th floor in height to change the maximum height from 3 to 4. So The one in the office park will remain at the approved height as it was originally approved in 2007. This PUD has been amended a couple of times regarding buffers and other uses. I believe this is the third amendment to the PUD itself. In reviewing from a staff perspective, the request is commercial required on the first floor. You can do residential above commercial or office depending on how it falls in both the town center as well as the office park presently. Those are both allowed uses. So in reviewing if that commercial component would be required on the first floor and understanding the market and the way things are, and watching this development over the past number of years, 18 years, it's clear that that kind of request is a minimal request in the scale of the whole development. It already allows residential as it is. So what we're asking, or what I'm answering to from a staff perspective is it all right to require the residential or to allow residential on that first floor? And looking at it that way, our staff review, came up with, yes, we recommend approval of that. The Planning Commission on the second review, based on the changes that were made, also recommended approval, as stated, 6-0 with 1 abstaining. So I'm happy to answer any specific questions you may have. Otherwise, I know there are some folks here who like to speak to this, and I'll get out of the way and let them do so.
Thank you, Mr. Varnell. Any comments or questions from the council for Mr. Varnell?
Robert?
Yes, ma'am.
The one being in the office area?
Yes.
That particular?
That building in particular, yes, ma'am.
If that's not built there, then it's open to commercial building, like a tire center or an oil change center or a health center or any type of commercial?
Right, so the way the PUD's written is the allowable uses of both the town center and the business park are the same. So whatever's allowed in one would be allowed in the other. And it does include many of those uses.
Any other comments or questions for Mr. Varnell before we open it up for public comment? Thank you, Mr. Varnell.
Thank you.
All right, would like to now ask anyone who would like to speak in favor of this request. Please indicate by raising your hand if you wish to speak in favor, and if you will state your name for the record.
My name's John Sheehan, and I have been in favor of this project for a long time. I do a lot of commercial development. Speaking from a success perspective, there's a reason why this project, as originally intended, hasn't gotten off the ground, because Cleveland doesn't have the density within this project, as evidenced by the fact that it hasn't been finished in 18 years. It's been semi-successful, but in most big urban settings that have these type of projects, you have density. You don't have density here. So there's a reason why people have not done anything with this, because it just doesn't make sense for a developer to make money, to be honest. And so, the intent was great, and it would have been wonderful if the project had been completely finished out, but it hasn't been, and it will not be. I don't think anybody's going to come in and do what was intended. So you have an opportunity to have tremendously high quality apartments that essentially has already been approved for 85% of the project. What's a few more apartments really is what it boils down to at the end of the day, as far as I'm concerned. Selfishly also, I'm also part of Spring Creek. I own Jenkins Restaurant, and myself and the other restaurants would love to have more people come to our restaurants. Everybody knows restaurants are struggling today in this world because going out to eat is a luxury. And so we could certainly use more people to cultivate our business and be successful. So I really think the city and this whole PUD is really in a quagmire, because it's just not going to ever get developed. And you want tax dollars, you want more people to come to Cleveland, and this is a really high quality project. I don't think it hurts anybody from my perspective in terms of the day-to-day living for the surrounding people. We would welcome it. And I think that a lot of people that would want to come to live in Cleveland would be excited to have a really high-end apartment complex right in the middle of our town with some nice restaurants around it and nice homes. And I think what Ben and his team is offering would be a real positive for our community. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sheehan. Anyone else wishing to speak in favor?
Did you pass out the?
If you'll state your name for the record, please.
Benjamin Berry, and I just handed Joe, this is just site plans printouts you probably have in your packet already, so this is not any new information that is being handed out. For the audience, this is the same handout that we distributed at the neighborhood meeting, which was held back in June. It just has the site plan and the building elevations on it. As Robert mentioned, this was reviewed at the June Planning Commission and it was approved unanimously. It's had staff support all the way through. We believe that more people would love an opportunity to be a part of the Spring Creek community, to walk to restaurants, to have greenway access to Lee and to downtown, maybe even work at one of the offices. Specifically, we believe our customer base, which consists mostly of young professionals, empty nesters, would love to live in Spring Creek. Our customers have good credit, good income. We're looking at a high-end building. They have plenty of options when it comes to housing, and we want our properties to be their top choice. These properties being discussed today are within the mixed-use commercial areas of Spring Creek. This does not affect any of the single-family part of Spring Creek, which is in the back. Those areas have their own regulations, they have their own HOA, and they are buffered from the adjacent mixed-use areas. A lot of those buffers at this point are mature trees, so it's very distinct where that boundary occurs. And we are not asking for multi-unit residential to be added as a permitted use. It's already allowed, it's encouraged, and it already exists. There's already multi-unit residential that exists there. The original ordinance states that Spring Creek was intended to be a place with varying residential densities. Some of this language is highlighted in the PUD sheets that is distributed up there. The PUD currently allows multi-unit residential structures with a condition that they be located above commercial establishments or similar arrangements of live-work space. We dwelled on that last term a little bit, but the term multi-unit residential structures just simply means buildings with more than one residential unit. That has been called into question a couple of times. Our primary request is simply to remove the requirement for commercial space to be on the ground floor and eliminate the ambiguity around the meaning of the term live-work. For example, on the 10-unit building, 8 of the units are already allowed by code on the second and third floor, and the request only affects the 2 units on the bottom ground floor. We believe that the bottom 2 units would be premium residential locations. Conversely, they would be below average office suites and even worse commercial space. All of our floor plans are designed to accommodate a home office for the live-work scenarios. We had explored early on whether this meets the live-work language in the PUD, and it's just not clear either way. We had one-on-one discussions with numerous individuals. We had a neighborhood meeting at the public library, which is well attended. During our discussions with the neighbors, some folks asked about the long-term maintenance and appearance of the building. And it's worth noting that this parcel is subject to the commercial HOA and would have to abide by the same regulations as all the other buildings in the commercial district. Exterior maintenance is handled by a contractor hired by the HOA. A couple of the homeowners expressed their hope that the parcel by the roundabout would be turned into a neighborhood park. We support this, and we offered to flip our purchase contract to the neighborhood HOA or any other individual if they agreed to make it a park. However, it seems that this offer has been declined. We received broad support from property owners within the town center of Spring Creek. This includes Brenda Lawson, the property owner and original developer of Spring Creek, and Tom Cate, who created the original vision. Both believe that our proposal fits with the original intent of the zoning and will help Spring Creek build out as it was intended. John Sheehan, who you just heard from, has sent an email of support stating that it'll help his restaurant as well as the others. Scott Taylor with Bank of Cleveland and Julia Scoggins, their businesses own vacant parcels within the town center. And they are hopeful that this kind of project will spur demand for additional high-quality developments on these parcels. CT Properties is the majority owner of the mixed-use building. They've expressed their support as well. Much of the discussion has been on the smaller building at the roundabout. The design is for a 3-story, 10-unit building with 19 on-site parking spaces. The building height, architectural style, and placement on the lot is consistent with the residential homes further north along the same road. We believe that this provides a good transition between the single-family area and the medical offices. The parcel has been on the market for nearly 20 years, and other potential users have consistently chosen other sites. The reason seems obvious to me. The parcel is very small, has difficult topography for commercial use, and no visibility from the main road. In contrast, our proposed building is designed to fit with the topography, be at a similar scale to the home to the north. It's also a very quiet location, surprisingly private, beautiful landscaping, and heavily buffered from all of this residential as well as the businesses behind it. Again, this building is already allowed by code if the bottom 2 units have commercial uses. I believe that what I'm proposing is one of the best developments that could occur on these parcels. Beyond that, I know that I would be a great neighbor in Spring Creek. At the very least, I believe these projects will be pleasing to look at. They'll complete the sidewalk connections. They'll provide additional customers for the restaurants. At its best, we believe this development is the type of place your friends and family would enjoy living in and could spur additional development on the remaining commercial parcels. This development and PUD have been around for 17 years. The request we are making only affects the ground floor, what happens on the ground floor. Staff has given their approval. Planning Commission vote was unanimous, including Councilman Estes, who's not here today. It's a very small change that will help Spring Creek continue to develop into the mixed-use destination that it was always intended to be. And that's it. I'll be available for any questions.
Thank you. Any questions for Mr. Berry? Thank you, Mr. Berry. Anyone else seeking to address the council? We are on in favor of this request. If you'll please state your name for the record.
I'm Brenda Lawson, owner of Spring Creek Development. And as most of y'all know, we started Spring Creek Development in 2008. And I think it was long before its time. Cleveland hadn't obviously hit the dream that we had. And so here we are today. I will tell you that the residential has taken off and we've done very, very well with that. We have struggled with getting commercial businesses. I have probably met with 30 restaurants and 4 grocery stores. And everybody wants to be on Paul Huff Stewart Road. Nobody wants to be on this side of town. So if y'all can quit giving permits to that side of town, we might get some on this side of town. I'm just kidding. I had to make a little joke. But anyway, we have struggled with that. And so we are trying to look, for anything that will build it out to help with getting it built out, bring in something that we think will be nice for the community and things like that. To address the commercial on the bottom, one of the issues we've ran into there, I guess before I say that, I do not own that building anymore. I have sold that building. But one of the issues you run into is you can't put anything commercial that has an oven or a fryer underneath condos. Insurance companies will no longer write insurance for the condos if we have that there. So that's kind of limited what can go in there, really mostly office space, dental offices, or things that doesn't have anything that might cause a fire. So I think this is a great asset. I think it will, the businesses that are there in the business park and the commercial, I think it's really going to up their business. I see no downside. I don't see that it will lower anybody's property values.
Thank you. Any questions for Ms. Lawson? Thank you, Ms. Lawson. Anyone else seeking to speak in favor of this request? Seeing no hands, I will now ask for anyone who would like to speak in opposition, if you'd raise your hand so we can address. Yes, sir. If you'll state your name for the record.
I guess I'll kick things off. I'm Ken Bausch. I'm the president
of the Spring Creek Residential Association, and I'm here today to express the overwhelming opposition of our homeowners, our neighbors at Spring Creek Cove and Spring Creek Ridge, and 3 of the 4 professional office owners in the business park to the proposed rezoning of Spring Creek. This is a wonderful group of neighbors, some born in Cleveland and who've lived here their entire lives, other newcomers who hope to contribute to the city for decades to come. All are committed to Cleveland and support responsible growth. We are concerned that the council is being asked to vote today on essentially 2 different matters in one ordinance. Firstly, you're being asked to rezone Spring Creek Town Center to allow for the potential construction of a 4-story, 48-unit multifamily apartment building, should the developer be able to secure financing. Secondly, you are being asked to rezone a 0.52-acre parcel in Spring Creek Business Park to allow the construction of a 10-unit apartment building with 19 parking spaces immediately adjacent to a single-family home in our HOA, less than 50 feet away, and a thriving dental office whose owners will speak to you in a bit. The qualitative analysis that Mr. Varnell provided the Planning Commission, as well as the emails and actually the spoken comments by Mr. Lawson, Mr. Sheehan, and Mr. Berry, they provide some support for the potential zoning change in the town center. What they do not support is rezoning the business park. A 10-unit luxury building will not address housing affordability issues in Cleveland. The growth and demographic factors cited by Mr. Varnell indicate a future need for more professional office buildings in Cleveland. With the completion of Peerless Crossing, professional building growth is sprawling out into some of the most challenging traffic corridors in the city, as Ms. Lawson noted, to Paul Huff Parkway. We did a quick pro forma analysis of a professional office building versus a 10-unit apartment building, and the office building would produce more recurring city general fund revenue. It would also, the net benefit would be even greater, as an office would not consume city services or add to school enrollment. Our current professional office neighbors anchor daytime employment in Spring Creek, providing dozens of well-paying jobs. We believe constructing this apartment building could preclude future professional office development in the business park. As an indication of this sentiment, we understand that the single professional building owner who is not actively opposing these amendments requested and received a change to the amendments to preclude building an apartment next to his office. In the June Planning Commission meeting, the potential developer asserted their opinion that a multifamily apartment building would be allowed, as Mr. Berry eloquently spoke. They also stated that under the current, they would have a parking space, ADA access, and ADA parking space. Blue signs, blue paint on the ground. That's not the look that we want. We can do that without being here. Indeed, Ms. Elliott commented, that's going to be parking lot right there instead of trees and sidewalks. And they can do that right now. So I would think it would be preferable to the homeowners to, since they can do that, I would think would be preferable to say that it's okay for the apartment on the bottom. The implicit aesthetic threat to our neighborhood and the potential developer's approach to what we believe are citywide standards regarding landscaping reminded us that neither Mr. Varnell nor the developer have provided adequate detail on their plans to mitigate the potential negative impact of the proposed 10-unit apartment building on our residential neighborhood. A 3-story multifamily building and active parking placed this close to a residence risks avoidable massing, privacy, noise, and headlight impacts. We have seen no proposals for a standard buffer, no illustrations of an appropriate height transition, and there has been no discussion of basic operational limits. We also believe there is confusion regarding the plannings for both Mr. Phillips' home and the Robbins Dental office. Those are not buffer zones that the existing developer can use. Those are the property of Mr. Phillips and the Robbins Dental property. They will not satisfy the applicant's responsibility to propose and install appropriate buffers. While there are many other objections to the proposed amendments, I know our time is limited.
On behalf of our residents and the hundreds of people who signed our petition in opposition to this development, we respectfully request that you vote against the amendments in their current form. So thank you. And also, we're going to have a few other speakers lined up over time. We have a couple of gentlemen from the Miller and Martin law firm that are going to discuss the interpretation of the current PUD and the language you're being asked to vote on, possibly right after me. And then probably Daryl will speak, and then Dr. Robbins, and then Brian Richardson, and maybe a few other folks.
All right. Thank you.
So if any questions for me? Or
Any
hold them
comments
to
or
the
questions from the council? Thank you.
Thanks.
If you'll state your name for the record, please, sir.
Absolutely. Tom Hazlett from Miller Martin Law Firm. And Mr. Mayor, council members, really appreciate your time this afternoon. The Spring Creek Residential Association engaged us to look at really just two very specific and sort of technical, I guess, questions on interpreting the ordinance and the amendment that you have been asked to consider. And those two questions were, and really focused on the business parcel. Does the current language, question one, does the current language of the PUD ordinance already allow this project? That was one question we were asked to consider. And the other is, would the rezoning of the property, if granted, potentially constitute a kind of problematic spot zoning type of issue? So we looked at those two, and we had a reaction to both of them. And they asked that we share our thoughts on that today. So our conclusion on the first question, again, does the PUD ordinance as drafted currently allow this project? We don't think that it does. Our interpretation of the PUD ordinance as it reads today is that first floors of all buildings in the business park must be commercial or retail space. And that residential space is permitted only on floors 2 and 3. And kind of the corollary to that would be that in the business park, the PUD does not allow buildings totally devoted to residential use. You have to have commercial or retail space on the first floor. The reason I think that question is relevant to the association is it has the impression, and there's been maybe some comments today, it has the impression that this council may believe that the ordinance as drafted allows the project, and that this is really just kind of a cleanup issue. It's not really changing anything. Our read of the ordinance is that this would be a change. And the reason we get there, the way we get there, is just walking through the relevant ordinance language. Section 4 of the ordinance is the general description of the project. It gives you sort of a high-level, broad brush. Here's what the project envisions. And from that section, speaking about the business park, it says that the business park is for, quote, professional offices and some limited retail uses, including the possibility of live-work space with upper story residential development. So we think the plain reading of that language is that all residential use is to be on the upper story, retail commercial on the first floor, and even, I think even the best read is that upper story residential is supposed to be in a live-work context where the proprietor or the staff or whomever is working in the space below is living in the space above. Now, I'm not saying whether that's a good plan or not a good plan. I'm just telling you how I read the ordinance as it stands today. That's section 4, talking about broad brush, what is a business park kind of generally supposed to look like. And then section 5 of the ordinance talks about, it gets more granular, talks specifically about permitted uses and prohibited uses. And so section 5A, 1A, business park, the permitted uses in the business park includes residential dwellings located in the upper floors above commercial establishments or similar arrangements of live-work space. So again, if 5A, 1A seems to be consistent with section 4, it's all talking about residential above commercial in a business park development. So we feel pretty comfortable that the best interpretation of the ordinance as it reads is that you have to have commercial on the first floor. Now, understand, I'm not commenting on whether that's wise. I think we've heard some folks say that maybe it would be wise to change that. Mr. Bosch has a different view of that, and he has some other folks I think have a different view of that, and y'all carry the responsibility of determining whether it's wise to change that or not. Our comment is simply that it is a change. We think the best read of the ordinance is it doesn't allow the project currently, and so if you want to allow the project, it is a change that is a material change. The second question they asked us to look at is whether or not this would be potentially a spot zoning situation. And we think potentially, sure. The legal test for a spot zoning scenario is basically ask two questions. One, is the rezoning mostly for the general welfare and benefit of the public, in which case it's not spot zoning, or is it mostly for private gain or a specific private project? Just the way this is unfolded, it feels a bit like the ordinance amendment is one that is pretty targeted towards a specific project rather than one that's being considered in the context of what is, kind of in totality the best rezoning for the community. The second question you ask is, does the rezoning create a zoning island that is inconsistent with zoning kind of surrounding it? And again, if you have one parcel that's permitting apartments or residential on the first floor and everything else around it is not, that starts optically to look like an island of use. And I think the language that has been proposed to accomplish this almost leans into kind of a spot zoning scenario. I think what I saw was to allow a multi-unit residential building located on the western edge near the roundabout. That sounds pretty dialed in to a very specific property and a very specific project and making a change for it. So, predicting what a judge might do in this scenario, you never want to do that. But are there things here that would make me think, this could be a spot zoning situation? My answer to that would be yes, and that was what we advised the residential association, and they asked us to come and just present our thoughts on those things to you today. So I believe Mr. Bosch has some others who were better positioned to comment really on the wisdom of it and how they might be impacted as individual owners.
Any questions for the counselor? Thank you, sir. And who is next? If you'll please state your name for the record. Commissioner?
My name is Darrell Akins. My wife and I live at 2858 Ridge Park Drive. I'd just like to take a few minutes to share with you the story about how Deb and I decided to move to Cleveland, and after being here, why we want to stay. We're the second closest home to the lot that we're talking about in the professional business park. Deb and I have lived in Knoxville, Maryville, and Oak Ridge for a number of years. And when we decided we wanted to retire, we decided we didn't want to retire in Oak Ridge. So we looked around to see where we did want to retire. But the one thing that we did know, we wanted to live in a neighborhood that had a new urbanism concept. So we looked in Franklin, Tennessee, where we used to live. Back when I worked in state government, we lived down in Franklin and enjoyed it very much. We looked in Asheville, North Carolina, which is a community that we enjoy visiting often. And we looked in Huntsville, Alabama, which is where I've been able to do a lot of business through the years. I really couldn't believe I'd actually put an Alabama license tag on my car. So now Huntsville's a great place, but it is where it is. But we found Spring Creek here in Cleveland. And I won't tell you that story, it takes too long, but we did. And luckily, the first conversation we had about Spring Creek was from a wonderful man by the name of Jim Sharp. His name was on the first time I drove through Spring Creek, Mr. Sharp's name was on one of the signs. So I called him. We agreed to meet. We didn't talk too long until we discovered that my father was a friend of his. My dad was an educator in Monroe and Blount counties, and he and Mr. Sharp had attended meetings together and so forth. So it's easy to say I bonded with this guy pretty quickly and really found out what a terrific person that he was. So in those conversations, he shared with us the vision of this new urbanism type community that they were developing there in Spring Creek that would have single family homes, would also have a professional business park, which was primarily medical practices, and also a town center, which would be a combination of residential and commercial retail services. So we thought this is terrific. It's the right size, because in the other communities we looked at, they were very large. This was the right size. The business center would be open, during the week, would be closed on the weekends, be closed in the evenings, and the fact that you could walk to a coffee shop, you could walk to the dry cleaners, you could walk to a couple of restaurants. We thought that was the ideal type of development that we wanted to live in. Now, our property is not in the HOA. We're in the area outside, but it is bound by subdivision covenants. And it was, as it was explained to us, and as we got in the written documentation, there's restrictions on housing size, on the amount of landscaping you're required to do, and other requirements. So the combination of what the HOA requires and what the subdivision covenants require, we felt pretty secure in what we were investing in. Not one time was it ever mentioned that an apartment complex could be literally built close to our backyard. That probably would have ended the conversation. So that never came up. That because with an apartment with 24-hour activity, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, that was not the type of neighbor that we were looking for. We were looking for a neighbor like we've got and Dr. Mike and Dr. Libs Robbins, who are now our dentists, and we can walk to the dentist by just crossing the alley to go to our dentist appointments. So we chose a lot, the lot that I just mentioned, agreed to a price, and then Mr. Sharp shook my hand and said, "We have a deal." Now, when we bought that lot, started building our home, we really didn't know that much about Cleveland. But after moving here, we found out pretty quickly what a great place it is to live. We comment to people all the time that we know elsewhere that Cleveland, Tennessee is the friendliest place we've ever lived in. You can't even go to the post office without somebody opening the door for you, telling you to have a blessed day. It's just a tremendous community in terms of the friendliness of the people. I joined the Rotary Club. We joined St. Luke's Church. Joined the Chamber of Commerce. When my good friend Dr. Andy White became president of Cleveland State, he asked me to go on the board of trustees of the college's foundation. So we're very glad that we live in Cleveland. But I'll be honest, if we had not found Spring Creek, we wouldn't be here. One of the real pluses of where our home is located right now is we can sit on our back porch and through the trees we can see the city lights. If you approve this zoning change, we'll be looking at the top of an apartment building. We tried to live up to our end of the deal that we made. And we'd like to ask you to help the other end of the deal to be honored by voting against this zoning. Thank you.
All right, anyone else wishing to speak?
Hi, my name is Elizabeth Robbins. My husband and I own Robbins Family Dental. We are on the upper side of the portion of land that we're speaking about in the business park area. I think what Daryl is trying to say is that when we all purchase this and things are not selling, I guess, the way they want to, and getting a little bit desperate to find people to purchase land and develop it, we all four of the businesses bought and spent over $1 million to put in professional buildings, being told that we were in the professional business section, that this was going to be where the single family homes would have their doctors, their dentists, their professions, and that all of the other retail and the condos and the townhomes would be in the town center. So we all made those decisions, those very expensive decisions, whether it was 5 years ago or 10 years ago for our businesses, and now we're facing having a 3-story apartment complex next to us, and that's allowed by the PUD. We didn't read the PUD, obviously, because we assumed that if someone was going to put in a 3-story apartment complex, the bottom story would be a business. We really need more doctors. We really need more professions. We aren't keeping up with the people that are moving here. We don't have pediatric specialists. We don't have what we need. We have to drive to Chattanooga for everything. What we really need is another profession to buy that building. But if it's going to be a 3-story with apartments on top, please let there be a business on the bottom. That's what we need in that area. There's a lot of things said that they're going to be high-end apartments, and I appreciate how pretty they're going to look for the first 10 to 15 years. But the other 3 businesses in that park with me, we're there. We're there until we retire. And I don't know who's going to be in charge of those apartments. I don't know how well they're going to be maintained. The HOA for the business section is not maintained. Nobody answers the phone. You have a P.O. box to talk to. That's not being maintained. And I keep hearing high-end. I keep hearing luxury. They're not gated. There's not a garage. There's not even 2 parking spaces for the 2-bedroom apartment. So they're going to be parking at Dr. Smith's, and they're going to be parking at my parking lot. But they have been gifted by Brenda Lawson a curved area of common road. So someone can parallel park on a common road. So we're gonna have the fallout if there's really 10 apartments in this and not 8 over a business. We're gonna have parking issues. I appreciate the sentiment. I think the problem is that for whatever reason, we are tying these 2 properties together and not separating them. I think there'd be a lot more support if these 2 pieces of property were not tied together. So I'm simply asking for the businesses. Dr. Miller is in surgery, Dr. Smith is at his second office. They can't be here. But we're asking for the exact same consideration that Cleveland Eye Care got when they asked that the vacant piece of property next to them be left off the PUD. And that's what's happened, is that we're being treated differently because we aren't friends with a developer. We all want the same thing. We're just not being treated equally. So I'm asking that you vote to not change this. Do you have any questions for me?
Any questions for Dr. Robbins? Thanks very much. Is there anyone else wishing to speak? We are still on opposition to this request.
We were thinking Brian.
If you'll please state your name for the record, please, sir.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name's Brian Richardson. My wife Cindy and I own the Richardson Group, KW Cleveland Real Estate. And like I stated in the 2 previous city planning meetings, we're probably the newest neighbors in there. We bought the last big tract of residential in the back of the subdivision. and build us a really nice home in there. And I do have, there's a few things that I just want to get some clarification on. One, and maybe I just misunderstood, they're asking at the lot at the roundabout to be 3 stories, is that correct? Or is it 4? 3? Okay, I misunderstood what was said at the beginning. So, a couple of questions. Since I have access to public records, I've noticed that as of June 27th of this year, that Dugan Development has purchased like 7.7 acres in there. Bought it from, a lot of it I believe was owned by Clint Taylor and maybe some other individuals. So that 7.7 acres is showing exactly where one of these buildings is supposed to go. So my question is, who has the contract with who? Do they have a contract with Dugan? Or do they have a contract with Brenda? Who do they have a contract with? Because if he bought it on June 27th, and we've been in these meetings long before that, I'd say he doesn't have the contract. Anybody?
He did not buy 7.7 acres.
That's what courthouse records are showing.
They've done not one lot from Clint Taylor, and it's not even an acre.
Okay. So the other is still owned by the subdivision?
Yes.
Very good. I just wanted some clarification on that. So at the end of the day, and I think the law firm said it very well, most of the time when I come in here, or city planning and the city council, it's usually over some sort of zoning change, like taking something that was residential maybe to commercial, or something from commercial to light industrial, something of that nature. But what we're talking about here is we're changing restrictions at the end of the day. And so if you allow this to happen, where they don't have to put commercial businesses at the bottom. And by the way, in the other building, I counted it the other day. I don't remember exactly how many, but I only saw 1 vacancy. So there's several local businesses. Eric Evans State Farm, Dr. Chase has a place in the other building. They're basically at 90-some% capacity. So people do use them, okay? So to sit and say that it couldn't be done, that's not true. And so if you agree to this, then what stops someone else from coming in and asking for another change and another change and another change? And you open Pandora's box. And at that point, if you allow them to do 4-story with no commercial underneath, then what's to stop the next developer who wants to come in and buy one of the lots from doing 7 stories? And once you do that, where do you stop? I mean, we might have a skyscraper eventually, who knows? And so, with that said, I keep hearing high end. We haven't seen any renderings, nothing that shows what's high end. All we've been told is they'd like to put an elevator in one of them. You know, that would be nice. But nothing to show what they're actually going to do. No renderings, no drawings, no nothing. And then it was stated that they offered the HOA, the lot at the roundabout. What was the offer for that, Ken?
$250,000.
$250,000. I actually approached Brenda just about a week or 2 ago and said I was interested in that lot for a future home. for the Richardson Group, KW Cleveland. And she told me it was currently under contract. So, just know that I have great interest in that lot. And then the other thing, so the last time we were at city planning, the first time we went, it got voted no. I don't remember the exact count, but it was voted no. They came back, tried to make some changes, then it got voted yes to bring it before you all today. That night at city planning, I stuck around after this issue was over just to hear all the other stuff on the slate. And there were other multiple PUDs that came up. But you know what I didn't hear? I didn't hear anything about, well, maybe we need to make an exception in case a developer wants to come along later. I didn't hear that come out of anybody's mouth, but just this development. And I believe that there's probably between 50 to 60 PUDs that are either already here or on their way. And are we going to make exceptions for those when the time comes? Just because somebody wants to accommodate a developer? That's really everything I have. I think it would be a grave mistake to do it. And also, lastly, talking about pricing of it affecting homes. Well, that's what I do for a living. And the home that was, if I wish we could pull it up on the thing, the home that's right next to the roundabout was listed. And then they did a price reduction. And now they've completely pulled it off the market and they're trying to rent it now. And then the house beside it was also popped up on the market, but it's already been pulled off because they can't get what they need to get because of what's coming if you all vote for this. So don't tell me it doesn't affect the property values, and it will directly affect mine. And I can tell you I spent a ton on mine. That's all I got. Appreciate you guys.
Thank you. Anyone else seeking to speak in opposition of this request?
I'm sorry, I do have one more thing. Just one more. I apologize. At the very first time that I was at the first round, something got mentioned to me after it got voted no. Somebody walked up to me and said, "Oh, you're good with things as long as it's not in your backyard." And this is one of your city staffers. In real estate, we have a term. We call it NIMBY. Not in your backyard. Not in my backyard. I have access to every one of your residences where you live. How would you like this in your backyard? I guarantee you wouldn't. You'd vote no to every one of them. Thank you.
Is there anyone else wishing to speak in opposition of this request? All right.
Yeah, that was all of our prepared speakers, Mayor. And then I just want to ask if the council feels they'll need to refer to our attorneys later before your vote, we can have them stay. And if you don't think you'll need to refer to them, we're going to let them head back to Chattanooga. So just let us know what your thoughts are.
Well, thank you, Mr. Bausch. That actually is a good segue. Councilman Cassada has requested for a conversation to get some clarification from our legal counsel. Councilman Cassada, you're recognized.
Yeah, John, can you give us any about
Zoning.
the zoning and stuff? Yes.
Legislative decision.
Yes, sir.
What you get to do. As you know, the planning commission makes recommendations. You're not bound by those. There's been times when they've recommended things to you and you turned them down. There'll be times when they've recommended against things and you approve them. In that latter instance, you have to have a majority of the entire body to do that. That's a state statute. Mr. Hazlett's correct that it's very difficult to say what a court would do with spot zoning. There's even Tennessee cases now that say illegal spot zoning is okay as long as there's a justifiable basis for it. That's what the cases say. Either party, if they're not happy with what you do in your legislative capacity, can go over here to the courthouse and seek judicial review and then the judge would decide whether your action was rational. Tennessee courts give deference to legislative bodies in making zoning decisions because you are in a better position than a court to make those decisions generally about what's best for your community when it comes to zoning. So that's the process you have. If an aggrieved party, whether it be the applicant who doesn't like your decision or someone else with legal standing wants to go and challenge it, they have that right in the court system. But it's a legislative decision, and you should make those consistent with what you think is best for the community and consistent with the, excuse me, the purposes and objectives that are laid out in your zoning ordinance. You've heard that from me, I don't know, many times, right? So that's about what I can tell you. That help?
Thank you, Mr. Kimball. Councilman Cassidy, anything further? All right, we have heard 3 speakers in favor of the request. We've heard 5 in opposition of the request. I'll make one more appeal for anyone else wishing to speak on yes, sir. If you'll please state your name for the record, please, sir.
Sure. Yeah, my name's Michael Kars. I appreciate it, Mr. Mayor and Council. I just asked that these two properties are wildly different. Those of you, and some have driven down through that roundabout and know these two properties, and I think after hearing everything today, I hope you are considering separating these two places. One is exactly adjacent to a group of medical buildings, single-story professional buildings. It's also right adjacent to a single-family home that runs down the road that I live on Spring Creek Drive. And the other property up by the road, by 25th Street, Town Center, is what you see, is a large building, businesses on the bottom, Jenkins, you've got a dry cleaner where the person lives above it. These are two wildly different properties. And I just hope, as I was sitting and listening and not planning on speaking, I spoke at the Planning Commission. I live on this road, and I chose this place to live. The mayors live there. Like, I chose to live in this neighborhood for the same reasons of the mixed development situation. But this property, I just wish you would consider separating them. They are wildly different. And so that would be my ask of you, is that if you could separate them, to consider them, and maybe even send it back or push it off to consider it as two separate issues. It is going to be a change to the PUD, and even in the Planning Commission vote second time, was a little bit of a proposal that they would not build it under the current PUD. They would leave the project at the roundabout. And when they proposed that that they would abandon ship and leave, that's where you got the vote that brought it here. But I would just ask that you separate these two areas and consider them separately. I think the people, literally hundreds of people on that petition, would not petition against development in Town Center. That was its intention in the original plans and documents. But it seeped into this place, this one lot, the specific lot. I would ask that you please separate them. Thank you, if you have any questions.
Thank you, Dr. Kars. Any comments or questions from the council?
Mayor,
Councilman
what would
Caston?
that require us to do if they wanted to separate it? John, what would that require us to do?
Mr. Barry has made the application for both. If he were to tell you he wants you to vote on them separately, but he hasn't done that, okay? So they're gonna rise and fall together. So the developer risks, by asking for both, that if you're not in favor of one, you may vote down the entire thing. But that's the way it's presented to you. You don't have the option to pick and choose what request it is. He has the ability to have his request heard. And if you're not for all of it, then you may vote against all of it. That's the risk.
And just for clarification, since we've had so many speakers, Yes, sir. I'll just, for point of clarification, this is the public hearing portion of the city council meeting, and then under new business later on will be the opportunity for the council members to vote.
My name is Kim Randolph. I've lived in this community all my life. My wife and I are seniors now, as you all can tell. But we've lived in several places around Cleveland, and I'm really a country boy, and probably I would still be in the country if it wasn't for a couple of things. But anyway, we spend some of our time in Florida now, and we decided that we would look for a place that would be protected in Cleveland. And I'm familiar with the Spring Creek, what happened over the years. I know that. I know that the development didn't happen like it was supposed to, but that's just the way things are. But the development in the subdivision, where the residential areas are, has gone over pretty good the last few years. And we decided we would build a house there, and because it was going to be protected. And doggone, just as soon as we got it done, all this stuff started. And we really wanted to be there because we felt like the city of Cleveland would protect us with the zoning we had. And now it looks like it's going to be changed and pull the rug out from under us. So that's all I have to say.
All right, any additional comments or questions? Anyone else wishing to speak? Speak now or forever hold your peace. I've said that once or twice. All right, I will declare this public hearing to be closed. We will go to the next public hearing. Item B is to hear public comments concerning request by HAD Properties, Dustin Jinks, for consideration of an ordinance to zone 3.27 acres of property located at Bower Lane Southeast from IH Heavy Industrial, changing to R2 Low Density Single and Multifamily Residential. This was approved by the Planning Commission 7-0, 1 absent, 1 recused. I'll declare this public hearing to be open. Mr. Barnell, your staff report, please.
Yes, sir. Thank you. This is a request. It's heavy industrial property. As you can see from the map in your packet, it backs up to a R2 zone residential neighborhood. Across the street from this is the Carrying Place distribution location. This request would go to R2 for single-family detached homes, 50-foot wide lots. As you can see there, staff recommended approval as well as the Planning Commission. I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you, Mr. Farnell. Any questions from the council on this request? Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Seeing none, I will ask if there's anyone here to speak in favor of this request. Please indicate by raising your hand. Seeing none, is there anyone who wishes to speak in opposition of this request? Like sign, please indicate by raising your hand. And also seeing none, I will declare this public hearing to be closed. Takes us to item C, which is a public hearing to hear public comments concerning a request by Alvin Calhoun for consideration of an ordinance to zone 0.18 acres of property at 800 Harrison Pike from CH Commercial Highway, changing to R3 High Density Single and Multifamily. This was approved by the Planning Commission 8-0. I'll declare this public hearing to be open. Mr. Barnell, we'll hear your report.
Yes, sir. As we've discussed, the building there has been demolished. Their intention is to build internally to that existing apartment development that's at that location, and it will be a part of that development as a whole. It's fairly straightforward. The building that was there was in sad shape, so we're glad to see it go and a new life come to the property. Both planning staff as well as the Planning Commission recommended approval, and I'm happy to answer any questions if you've got any.
Thank you, Mr. Varnell. Is there any questions from the council for Mr. Varnell? Seeing none, I will now ask if there's anyone who wishes to speak in favor of this request. Seeing none, is there anyone who wishes to speak in opposition to this request? And like sign, seeing none, we will declare this public hearing to be closed. Takes us to item D, to hear public comments concerning a request by the City of Cleveland for consideration of an ordinance to amend the Cleveland City Municipal Code, Appendix C, to delete Table 1, Uses and Zoning Districts, This was approved by the Planning Commission 8-0. I'll declare this public hearing to be open. Mr. Barnell, we'll hear your report.
Yes, sir. Thank you. As stated in the report, this is a cleaning up effort, one of the many I'm doing right now. We will be bringing a table back soon, but we wanted to get this rectified soon. Planning Commission recommended approval based on staff's recommendation. Thank you.
Certainly. Any comments or questions from the council for Mr. Barnell? Seeing none, would anyone like to speak in favor of this request? Please indicate by raising your hand. Anyone wishing to speak in opposition to this request? Seeing none, we will declare this public hearing to be closed. Item E is a public hearing to hear comments concerning a request by the City of Cleveland for consideration of an ordinance to amend the Cleveland City Municipal Code, Appendix C, Section 3.1.A, Table 2, for lot area and width requirements to include a 50-foot lot width at the setback line for single-family residential dwellings, and to amend the density requirements to 5,000 square feet for the first unit and 2,500 square feet for each additional unit in the R3 high-density single and multifamily zoning district. This was approved by the Planning Commission 8-0. I'll declare this public hearing to be open. Mr. Barnell, we'll hear your staff report.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Sorry about the mouthful there.
It's okay.
This is another cleaning up issue. This is the way this ordinance has been enforced in the past. We just want to make sure it's specifically listed that way, and Planning Commission recommended approval based on staff.
Thank you, sir. Any questions or comments from the council for Mr. Barnell? Seeing none, I will ask if anyone would like to speak in favor of this Cleveland Municipal City Code change. Like sign, is there anyone who wishes to speak in opposition of this request? Seeing none, I will declare this public hearing to be closed. Item F is a public hearing to hear public comments concerning a City of Cleveland to amend Cleveland Municipal Code Appendix C zoning ordinance by revising Section 2.3.1 uses allowed so as to provide specific regulations regarding cluster subdivisions within the R1 single-family residential zoning district, which restricts development from exceeding the density permitted under standard R1 zoning regulations. This was approved by the Planning Commission 8-0. I'll declare this public hearing to be open. Mr. Barnell, we'll hear your report.
Yes, we removed cluster development standards from RA many years ago. One of the leftover factors was the R1 development. And when you're in an area such as an R1, to protect the density and things like that, we wanted to clarify that the density of R1 does govern those developments. Because there are instances with those smaller lots that they get quite a few more homes. So this would clarify that language and be kind of saying that density requirement of 7,500 per square foot, or for each lot, no matter what, that threshold has to be met. So that's your unit count, and we just want to clarify that. Planning Commission recommended approval, and I'm happy to answer any questions if you've got any.
Thank you, sir. Any comments or questions from the council for Mr. Barnell? Seeing none, I would like to ask if anyone would like to speak in favor of this request. And like sign, would anyone like to speak in opposition to this request? You'll indicate by raising your hand. Seeing none, I'll declare this public hearing to be closed. That takes us to item 7, which is the consent agenda. This consent agenda was discussed during the 1 o'clock work session and was been distributed to the council. It does require a motion to approve.
So moved.
It's a proper motion by Councilman May, properly seconded by Vice Mayor Webb. Any additional comments, questions, or concerns for the consent agenda? Mr. Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilman May?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Webb? Aye. Councilman Goff? Aye. Councilman Moore? Aye. Councilwoman McKenzie? Aye. Councilman Cassidy?
Aye.
Carries 6-0.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. That motion passes. Takes us to item 8, unfinished business, which thankfully there is none today. Next item is reports from council members. We'll begin with the 4th District, Councilman May.
No, I don't have anything.
Thank you, sir. 5th District, Councilman Goff.
Yes, the item we just passed on the consent agenda, item K, regarding the decorative crosswalks. I think I read that part of that is going to have to remove some signage around. Just wanted to point out with the additional new electric cars and cars that drive themselves. Positioning of stop signs is extremely important, where they'll stop closer or far away from the intersection. And I don't know if there's some new rules that we could find out about exactly where those need to be placed in regard to feet to the intersection, but then we need to look at that as we're moving these signs around.
I want to take a shot at that, David.
I don't know the language specifically, but I think it may have referred to moving stop bars on the ground.
Okay.
I don't think, stop signs will be there and the stop bars will be there. They just might have to be shipped at location based off the crosswalk.
Okay. Sounds good, thank you.
And we'll relook at it. I mean, sometimes if, who wrote the memo may have said signs or bars, but we'll look at that and take that into consideration.
Anything further, Councilman?
No, sir.
Thank you, sir. Vice Mayor Webb?
No, sir.
Thank you, sir. Councilman at Large, Mr. Moore?
No, Mayor.
Thank you, sir. Councilwoman McKenzie?
Yes, Mayor, I just have a question for Police Chief. Concerning electric bikes on the road, I'm seeing a lot of those lately, and I'm just wondering what the rules of the road are for them. Is it the same as bicycles on the road? And then second, as far as if they're on the sidewalk riding. So could you give us some clarification on what the law says about that?
Bicycles, if they're on the roadway, they gotta follow the traffic rules, so if they come to the stop sign, they're supposed to stop. But they're the same as the bicycle, they're not, I think it's maybe like CC's, engine size and stuff, but they're essentially the same thing.
Okay, well, what about the drivers in respect to the bikes and electric bikes? Who has a right of way? Can they ride in between the cars? Do they have to stay to the right?
They're supposed to stay to one side and they're supposed to follow the traffic rules. If they're on the roadway, they have to follow the traffic rules. If they come to a four-way stop, they're supposed to stop and let the traffic go. But when you're traveling in a lane, you're supposed to stay about 3 feet away from them if you're passing them. But they stay to the right and they go the same direction as traffic.
So you can pass them, but you've got to stay.
Yeah, you gotta keep about a 3 foot distance from the bicycle and people.
So if the situation is such that you can't pass them, then you have to give them free,
Yeah.
the leeway to continue, and you just kind of gradually go on behind them
Right.
until you can get clear and go around them.
Until you get a clear spot to go around them, yes.
Okay, and as far as the sidewalks, if they're riding on the sidewalks, what is the laws about that, or clarifications for us?
I don't know about the ordinance on the sidewalk. They tend to ride on the roadway, so, but I don't know about those sidewalks. That one I don't know.
For instance, if they were on the greenway and with the walking traffic and an issue came up.
Yeah, on the greenway, it's a park, it's not a roadway, so there's no really enforcement laws there. I think we had an issue with, they were worried about speed limits on the speed of bicycles on the greenway. There's just not really a way to enforce that as far as the traffic law, because it's a private, it's a park and not a roadway.
But they are allowed to ride on the sidewalks, city sidewalks?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Anything further, Councilwoman McKenzie?
Yes.
Sorry? Mr. Fivas?
We could address it through our park rules.
Okay.
As far as how fast they can go and stuff like that. So we can talk about that, but.
Okay. As far as the greenway, or as far as even sidewalks?
Probably just the greenway.
Okay, thank you.
That's always been an issue. We can talk to Cameron. I mean, they have a lot of arguments between bikers and pedestrians, and sometimes they can get going pretty fast, and that might be something to at least take a look at.
Okay, thank you.
I don't know how you enforce it, but you can look at it.
Well, I was just wondering, because I have seen them even downtown here on the sidewalks, and I was just wondering, the relationship to the pedestrian that's walking.
Yeah. It's,
I just think there's something that
Probably
we.
the age-old question of bicycles on the street or sidewalks, and I don't think we have any city ordinance that does not allow that.
Anything further, Councilwoman McKenzie? Thank you, Madam. Councilman Estes has been excused. Councilman Cassidy.
Yes, Mayor, one thing at the awards thing, and I just want to thank the council, the city staff, all the hard work they do to present a quality product to our people and our community. I saw some other awards, and I'll just say this, that the quality of product that the city staff and this council approves in our community, I would encourage everybody to go to other communities and see the product, like Johnson Park, Emmons Street, and what's going to happen with the Cherokee Hotel and Roy's Alternators, how it's going to blow up downstairs, downtown. Joe, you and your staff, everybody involved with it, I thank you so much for what you do. And what we do on a budget too, also. We don't overspend. We do things within our means, and we live within our means. So thank you so much for that. And I want to thank council too, Mayor, for that, for supporting that and those visions and stuff. So.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, sir. Thank you,
were-
Councilman
were at
Cassidy.
that event, and, Kingsport had a nice little project that they recognized as well, if you recall, in their downtown streetscape. Do you remember what I'm talking about?
I do.
But they spent $14 million, and we just spent a fraction of that on ours, probably 10%. And that goes to having, as we honored them at the 1 o'clock meeting, Tom, is just the unbelievable in-house work and dedication from our engineers to communications to all of that. It all comes together. Sometimes it takes a little longer than what we want it to, but I agree with you. There's a lot of credit for a lot of good work for a lot of that for us on that.
Good words, Councilman Cassidy.
Thank you.
Agree, and thank you, Mr. Fivas. Any additional comments or questions from members of the council? Takes us to item 10 on the agenda, which is new business and ordinances. Item 10A is ordinance 2025-43 concerning a request by Springbrook Community Developers, LLC, for consideration of an ordinance to amend PUD 4 located along 25th Street to include multifamily as a permitted use in the town center and a business park area without commercial component on the first floor, to allow 4-story structures in the town center area and 3 stories in the business park area, and to modify parking requirements. This was approved by the Planning Commission 6-0 with 1 passing and 2 absent. It does require a motion from the council for action today.
So moved.
Proper motion by Councilman Goff.
I'll second.
Proper seconded by Councilman Moore. That is a proper motion with a proper second. Is there any additional comments, questions, or discussion on the council? Mr. Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilman Goff?
Aye.
Councilman Moore?
Aye.
Councilman May?
No.
Vice Mayor Webb?
No.
Councilwoman McKenzie?
No.
Councilman Cassidy?
Tough spot.
Yeah, it is. It's a tough spot. Is it 3-3? Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Right now it's 3-2.
Remember, this is the first reading as well, so it'll come back in 2 weeks.
Favor 2, 3 against. Favor 2, 3 against.
That's correct.
2 votes for and 3 votes no.
No.
Repeat those votes again, please.
Is that a no?
Yeah.
That's, motion fails. 4-2.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. That motion fails 4-2. Item B, zoning ordinance 2025. Okay, Vice Mayor Webb, do you have a
I
question?
just questioned, was that right?
Mr. Clerk, could you please repeat the vote?
Councilman Goff was a yes. Councilman Moore was a yes. Councilman May, Webb, McKenzie, and Castleton were no's.
I didn't get McKenzie.
That is 4-2. That is correct. Thank you, Mr. Clerk.
We don't have many votes that are usually no.
So that's a failure to approve the rezoning request. You have because it's an ordinance, you have 2 readings. So assuming you have the same vote, it really wouldn't matter what Councilman Estes voted if he were here, because you're still gonna have 4 no's, so it would technically be a denial of the request. So it's turned down. So unless somebody up here changes the vote, it really doesn't matter what Councilman Estes votes. You understand that? That makes sense?
And because it was a denial, will it come back again in 2 weeks?
No, sir. It'd just be denial. It would be the same as if somebody made a motion to deny it and it had a majority vote.
No, I think you said 2 weeks ago you got it.
Yes, sir. I'm sorry, I thought I already answered.
It does
It's an
come back
ordinance.
2 weeks.
It comes back for a final reading.
And there will be another vote.
Yes.
I want the residents of Spring Creek to
Yes.
understand.
There's always, on any ordinance, you have 2 votes.
Certainly. All right.
But things can still change.
Sure. And you can change their vote, but I was just pointing out that the effect of this today is a denial of the request.
Could the
Okay? So, assuming all 7 people are here in 2 weeks, and just speculate, the Councilman Estes votes yes, and everybody else votes the same, it's a denial of the request.
So question to your comments earlier, if the developer made a change,
No, sir. You didn't ask for that.
yes, sir,
Presented to you and it's in the form that it was voted.
and a change cannot be made during the
No.
interim of the 2 readings?
No, sir.
Thank you, sir. Takes us to item B, zoning ordinance 2025-44, concerning a request by HAD Properties for consideration of an ordinance to zone 3.27 acres of property located at Bower Lane Southeast from IH heavy industrial, changing to R2 low-density single and multifamily residential. This was approved by the Planning Commission 7-0. It does require a motion from the council.
So moved.
It's a proper motion by Councilman May, properly seconded by Councilwoman McKenzie. Any comments, questions, or concerns from the council? Mr. Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilman May.
Aye.
Councilwoman McKenzie. Aye. Councilman Goff.
I'll recuse myself.
Vice Mayor Webb.
Aye.
Councilman Moore. Councilman Cassidy.
Aye.
That carries 5-0 with 1 recusal.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. That motion passes. Item C is zoning ordinance 2025-45 concerning a request by Alvin Calhoun for consideration of an ordinance to zone .18 acres of property located at 800 Harrison Pike from CH Commercial Highway to R3 high-density single and multifamily. It was approved by the Planning Commission 8-0. It does require a motion today.
So moved.
Second.
So very popular. I have, because I heard his voice the loudest, a proper motion by Councilman Cassidy, and I will give this second to Councilwoman McKenzie. They both motioned at the same time. That's a proper motion, properly seconded. Any comments, questions, or concerns?
Yes, sir.
Councilman, Vice Mayor Webb, sorry, sir.
That's okay.
Demotion, my apologies.
I'd just like to say that this is a great move forward in cleaning up that piece of property. It's been less than desirable for quite some time, and I'm glad to see this.
Good words, Vice Mayor Webb. Any additional comments or questions from the council? Mr. Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilman Cassidy.
Aye.
Councilwoman McKenzie. Aye. Councilman May.
Aye.
Councilman Goff.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Webb.
Aye.
Councilman Moore. Aye. Carries 6-0.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. That motion passes. Item D, ordinance 2025-46, concerning a request by the City of Cleveland for consideration of an ordinance to amend the City of Cleveland Municipal Code Appendix C to delete Table 1, Uses and Zoning Districts, approved by the Planning Commission 8-0. It does require a motion today from this council.
So moved. Second.
Proper motion by Vice Mayor Webb, properly seconded by Councilman May. Any additional comments, questions, or concerns? Mr. Clerk, please call the roll.
Vice Mayor Webb.
Aye.
Councilman May.
Aye.
Councilman Goff.
Aye.
Councilman Moore.
Aye.
Councilwoman McKenzie.
Aye.
Councilman Cassidy.
Aye.
Carries 6-0.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. That motion passes. It takes us to item E, which is ordinance 2025-47 concerning a request by the City of Cleveland for consideration of an ordinance to amend the Cleveland City Municipal Code, Appendix C, Section 3.1.A, Table 2, lot area and width requirements to include a 50-foot lot width at the setback line for single-family residential dwellings, and to amend density requirements to 5,000 square feet for the first unit and 2,500 square feet for each additional unit in the R3 high-density single and multifamily zoning district. Approved by the Planning Commission 8-0. Does require a motion today from this council.
So moved.
Proper motion by Councilman Moore. Is there a second?
Second.
Properly seconded by Councilman May. Any additional comments, questions, or concerns? Mr. Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilman Moore.
Yes.
Councilman May.
Aye.
Councilman Goff.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Webb.
Aye.
Councilwoman McKenzie.
Aye.
Councilman Cassidy.
Aye.
Carries 6-0.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. That motion passes. Takes us to item F, ordinance 2025-48, concerning a request by the City of Cleveland to amend the Cleveland Municipal Code Appendix C zoning ordinance by revising Section 2.3.1, uses allowed to provide for specific regulations. This is harder than it looks, y'all. Regarding cluster subdivisions within the R1 single-family residential zoning district, which restricts development from exceeding the density permitted under standard R1 zoning regulations approved by the Planning Commission 8-0. It does require a motion from this council.
So moved. Second.
Proper motion by Councilman May, properly seconded by Vice Mayor Ken Webb. Any additional comments, questions from the council? Mr. Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilman May.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Webb.
Aye.
Councilman Goff.
Aye.
Councilman Moore.
Aye.
Councilwoman McKenzie.
Aye.
Councilman Cassidy.
Aye. I'm sorry.
Carries 6-0.
Mayor, I'd like to suggest that we vote to approve the master plan we were given earlier with minor administrative changes.
All right, that is a new business request for a new motion, item G, to approve the Parks and Recreation Master Plan as presented. That is a proper motion for approval by Councilman Goff. It does require a second.
I'll second.
Properly seconded by Councilman Moore. That is the draft of the Parks and Rec Master Planning. Does require approval to move forward by the council. That's a proper motion, properly seconded. Any additional comments or questions from the council? Mr. Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilman Goff.
Aye.
Councilman Moore.
Aye.
Councilman May.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Webb.
Aye.
Councilwoman McKenzie.
Aye.
Councilman Cassidy.
Aye.
Carries 6-0.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. That motion passes. Thank you, members of the council, for your attention today. Takes us to announcements. Item 11, the next city council meeting will be held on Monday, August the 25th. If there are no other comments,